Hi, Janelle.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Okay. It's been a wild week. How about for you?
Definitely.
Yesterday felt like I don't even know what day, because we were like, oh my God, what a week. And it's like it's 9 o'clock on Tuesday. It's just not a good sign. I have to say, I'm looking forward to this project because it's not controversial. It's
Okay.
just pleasant. It's just pleasant. Like no shouting, no,
You're gonna miss it.
it's just getting something done. Hey there, how are you?
Good. I wish I had worn a different shirt. I forgot I wasn't gonna have time to get home today. Actually, I think I have a different shirt. I'm gonna go grab it. I'll be back.
It's a fashion statement.
So who else is joining us?
Joe Hotchner should be. And other than that, I don't know of anyone else, but I
Okay.
don't know.
Thank you for the package, Kay.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad you got it.
It was, yeah, short notice.
Well, it's been kind of wild around here, and so I was just glad I got a little time on the copier and could jam out a lot of things without being in the way, just because we
Yes.
have a lot of projects
Mhm.
coming out. So I got in extra early and hogged it for about half an hour and got it done.
You're at work now. You're at
I've
work?
been here since June 1st.
Oh, okay. I thought you
Thankfully.
were-
I'm
okay.
not a good work at home person,
Mhm.
so it's been much better to be here.
On the 2015 comp plan, was paging through it and saw the members of the planning commission. Oh my God. What a turnover in 5 years.
Yes. Well,
Sure.
and we've got these slots now. I mean, hopefully we'll get people to fill them because we've got plenty of work. We need the manpower.
Do we have a list of applicants that the mayor can pick from?
I think Drew is talking to people, but I don't know. So fingers crossed that it all works out and we get,
Mhm.
you know,
There was one woman,
replace Nina and Mark.
yeah, one woman, I don't know her name, but she was very active with the Highland Acres annexation. She's about medium height, salt and pepper hair. And she might be a good candidate, but I don't know who she is. So,
I have no idea.
yeah.
I'm usually the last to know.
Yeah, I'm just excited that people want to, because I mean, we've got a lot going on and everybody's going to be busy. So it's a good thing.
I can't share, but veggie sticks. Hopefully we'll be back face-to-face meetings by Halloween. I always lots of Halloween candy left over, so if there is a Halloween.
Oh, I told my husband, do not start buying Halloween candy until we know.
Nice shirt, John.
Yeah. Oh, is he back?
Quick
Or
change.
no?
Mhm.
John.
Well,
KJ.
it's 3:30, so if you want to get started, we got a couple people listening, so.
Okay, great. Great. Well, this is the first meeting of the Planning Commission's Action Plan Subcommittee. It's Wednesday, September 2nd at 3:30 p.m. And thanks everyone for Zooming in. This, I think, is going to be one of the more fun subcommittees, I think, in that we are gathering information. And as far as I can tell, it's going to be non-controversial. So I'm looking forward to doing something completely different. We haven't had one of these in a long time. So I guess in general, this is how I understand the situation. Our chairman, Drew McKay, wants us to have a list of things that need to be done for the Planning Commission. Now that we have Janelle full-time, we have Tom a little bit, we can really get a lot more done. And so this will set us up, and it will also organize any budgetary needs that we have, which is also very important at this pandemic time. So what we are to do is to gather a list of things that need to be done. We're not looking for answers. We are only gathering the issues. We'll present this list to the Planning Commission, and then once approved, you know, Drew will end up assigning project order and then make assignments to all of us to get these things done. So the way I'm looking at it is sort of get the project, a timeline, and a cost. Like, these are the things that are most important for us to make sure that we estimate. And I've started collecting some documents to go through, and we want to talk about that in a little bit. Janelle, is that as you understand this task?
I think so. I think it's just kind of like, we all know there's some things we want to look at the different codes, kind of going looking through, seeing what we want to do, prioritizing them, both the commission and the council, so we can work both on the same page. Because I don't think we want to be working against each other. I think we want to be working with each other. So kind of figuring those items out, prioritizing them, because if we have like 110 things, which there usually are in a code that need to be updated, it's like picking the ones we know, these are priorities, and then going through those and going, okay, well, this one I can get done and we can do in a month or two. Those will take a little bit more time, maybe a couple of workshops, and like the third, the more difficult ones, like we might even need, a consultant, to assist with us. So those are, the things we want to look at, and kind of just, that's my understanding of what we're trying to do.
Right, and I just sort of made some general notes, having gone through some lists that I had made myself, and I just started organizing things by their nature. One section I have is resilience coordination, using your report that you just did, and also sea level rise, floodplain fill, and the wetlands buffers. Another one I had was cyclical updates, just so that we're all thinking about things like the comp plan, zoning, subdivision, and signs. When are we going to put those on our schedule, because those are year-long, year and a half, 2 year long projects. And then sort of revisions. It does the list of 22 criteria for major subdivisions. Does that still serve us well, or does it need to be altered? I don't know. So those are the kinds of things that I was sort of thinking on this list.
And I'm thinking, are there conflicts in the code where one section says one thing and the other says another, so we need to fix those? Do we want to look at process to just maybe make it a little cleaner and simpler for everybody to understand? I mean, I think we have range to kind of figure out what are the things that we know we want to look at and kind of start addressing, and then bring that to the commission, to the council, prioritize, and then we start working on them individually.
I think sometimes it can be small things, because I know we have in code places where we say if practicable, and that always hangs us up and makes us angry. And I think just even going through code, finding all of those spots and sort of saying shall be done or were deleted, this midway is what, there's an expectation of it happening and it never does. So I think that's part of the issue. So John and Joe, does this make sense?
It does. I have a question about the floodplain. I learned through Anne Marie that our floodplain ordinance has to be reviewed by FEMA. Is there any other sections that have this level of overview that beyond the floodplains?
Not that I'm aware in the zoning code. Typically floodplain, because we typically adopt the FEMA regulations, the base FEMA regulations. So if we want to change those, and I know you've talked about doing a really big rewrite, we need to get them involved, FEMA involved, and potentially even a consultant, because if you're looking, and I know I've seen your draft, redoing the entire chapter, that's a big load that is going to take some work. And
Well, if we do it right, it'd be eliminating a lot of duplication. So down to single definitions and explanations, and it would be a condensation probably. Wait and see.
Well, another one is Bonnie brought up the building code and how, we pick and choose some of the things in the building code. And I don't know whether that's something to go over with this or not. That's a Robin, Henry, Steve question, but I'm not sure.
Really going to end up through council and not the commission, because the commission doesn't deal with zoning. I mean, building code, we deal with zoning and subdivision. So the building code is actually a different chapter in the county and the city code,
right,
that we have nothing to do with.
Okay, so I'll mark that as.
It's definitely a project that can come from council and go through Robin, and I don't think that needs this group to be working.
Robin
help Robin at some point.
probably doesn't want me to volunteer either. Keep my nose out of that.
I was going through the comprehensive plan last night, just kind of getting my mind prepped, because it really is, I think, a very big project. Like what sources do we pull from? How do we keep on track? I definitely know we're up to the task. But where my interests were kind of heading was, we have this plan, that laid out a lot of recommendations. I remember when you guys were working on this 2015 plan, a lot of work went into this. And I'm just curious if we should use this as a starting point for a piece of the project to go through it and say, all right, let's follow up with the recommendations. Did we go through them? How did they work? Are they still working? And maybe use this as an opportunity to revisit the comprehensive plan and kind of evaluate ourselves and make changes.
Aren't we supposed to do
Go ahead.
review?
Oh, go ahead.
Is that
Go ahead,
part
I'm
of
sorry.
the process?
Isn't there supposed to be an annual review of the comp plan, a report for it?
So there is an annual update that staff sends and the city sends to the Office of State Planning Coordination to let them know what we've been doing to implement the comprehensive plan, which is those recommendations. Those first couple of pages, all those recommendations, and we kind of give them an update on like where we are. We've actually done a number of those items, but there's still always, and that's why it's a 10-year plan, things we need to work on and to look at.
Is that due like the end of the year, mid-year, beginning?
It's due at July 1st.
Oh, so we either missed the deadline or we made it, one or the other.
No, it was sent on time.
Oh, good, okay.
Well, and I think this is something we were heavily criticized for with the 2005 plan, which had hundreds of action items because it was our first plan. So it had everything in the kitchen sink. And then a lot of the public had the expectation that Planning Commission was going to do all of these. And before we had planning, we didn't have time for anything. I was spending all of my time, preparing materials for meetings and that kind of thing. I didn't have time. There was no time for anything extra. But we're just up another level now. And we have, professional support. And so now we can focus on doing these. And I think this is the time. I think John's exactly right. I think the comp plan, we need to sort through, figure out what hasn't been done, and those all need to come in. I have Janelle's Resilient Communities Report. Oh,
So
I see a comment from Tom.
Tom, it's also that because it's a 10-year plan, at year 5, which we're not there. Ours actually it's the 2015 plan, actually got adopted in 2017, so we're year 3 into the plan. So in 2022, you take a really deep dive look and make sure it's like, okay, is the plan still saying what we want? Because like in the 2005 plan, I don't think anybody was anticipating the recession that hit. So you take a good look at your plan midway through and realize, okay, that's not going to happen. That's not going to work. So you make changes to the comprehensive plan. So you typically do that at your 5-year review. I'm also going to note, and Tom can yell at me for this, and I've said it other places where I've done comp plans. You've done a great job if you get like 50% of the items accomplished that you have identified in a comprehensive plan. That means you've done a lot, because again, a lot of them are like, we want to do this, but sometimes they end up being not practical, things change. So if you get like, you know, half of them done, you've actually done a really good job at implementing your comprehensive plan. I've never been anywhere, and I've been at a number of different places where anybody's ever implemented every single action item in their comprehensive plan, because sometimes a couple of years down the road, 5 years down the road, it just isn't relevant anymore. So just keep that in the back of your head, and then also realize, you know, Joe wants to redo the flood regulations. That's nowhere in the comprehensive plan. So, but it might actually pick up like some of those environmental items that you're doing, or like the sea level rise and the wetlands buffer and the floodplain fill. Those all end up tying into the overall big pictures recommendations that are in the comprehensive plan. So you might not actually hit it like the nail on the head, but you are like you're coming close. You're coming in at a different angle to accomplish the same thing.
I like it, because I think that this list is going to be terrifying in itself once it's done. I picture pages and pages, and even if we sort it as best we can, I think it's still going to be pretty daunting. And
Absolutely, sorry, I'm interrupting. And also remember, not all of these things fall under the Planning Commission for implementation. Some of these require the mayor, some of them require council, some of them require coordination with BPW. So not everything in the comprehensive plan, even though it's a land use plan, falls under the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission to implement, because sometimes it's like we have no control over what BPW does, and utilities is a chapter of the comprehensive plan.
I may have been misunderstood then, or I may be misunderstanding it then. I thought we were just compiling a list for the greater good, not things that, so it's just what's specific to our purview. So we just have to go through and look at the comprehensive plan with what pertains to planning. But you're saying there's really no need because the review is going to come up in 2 years?
Oh no, I think it's absolutely what we're doing here is really important. Going through, it's like, well, what can we get done, and what do we want to get done in the next 2 years?
Okay.
You know, like Tom's mentioned, you know, we've been talking, somebody's been talking about taking a look at the marine commercial zoning district. Is that something, you know, to look at? You know, are there other things that we've started and kind of that have fallen to the side and that we can get back going on, or, you know, stuff like that?
Okay. Gotcha.
well, like say definitions, like I've collected all the definitions and put them in one spot, but we haven't done that major change of redoing both subdivision and zoning in order to implement what that means. So that's on the list. I have Tom's lists of things that we need to do, and they do come from the comp plan. They're not everything in the comp plan, but they're sorted and organized as units from the comp plan. So we should go through both and just see where we are.
Think of it as you've got like multiple places to take from. You've got your comp plan, which you always want to be working on projects from them. That you've got the zoning code and the subdivision code, looking at that and going, okay, even though the comp plan doesn't say it needs to be changed, we know there's some conflicts and some things we want to update. So where do those rise on our level of items we want to do?
Even things like in our process for a major subdivision, we have the phrase preliminary consent, which is very, I mean, I think that phrase needs to change because it implies something that we're not necessarily providing. So another question we had years ago was, what does it take to say that the file is complete and then moves on to a next step? We had a lot of controversy about that. So I think that's a spot we need to clarify. This is what's in the file, then it's complete, and then it moves forward.
Yeah, I actually have some good ideas to help clean that up, because I know a lot of the public I mean, like, where are we in the process? What does this mean? What does that mean? You know, when's the record open? When's the record closed? So I've got some ideas. So if that's going to be on the list, I'm happy to help there. You know, as the more we work with our codes, we realize, oh, that could be fixed.
Kay, when you said the file, did you really mean the application? Is that what the application will be complete and then move on to the next?
And that's the question.
Yeah, what's the word?
What's in the folder?
So the record.
So those are the kinds of things that have tripped us up in the past that I'd like to add to the list for clarity.
So I think it sounds like we've got one idea. I think we call it the major subdivision process. And we can just look at that, you know, and I think that can take many different forms. Like those 22 items, do they all need to be there? Do they need to change? We can do that as one ordinance, and we can look at the process and not call it preliminary consent, call it something else in a different way. So.
One thing I'm curious about, what popped up was the marine commercial review. And I'm interested in finding out how the buffer committee, whatever depth of our buffers are, how that would impact property along the marine commercial area now, if we have like buffers behind the VFW, you know, wetlands nearby, you know, and now we have buffers to the wetlands. So how does this affect property that's in this? I'm not sure the scope or the size and the outline of the marine commercial. Has that reduced the size of the marine commercial district now with proposed buffers? Is that, because we never had that before.
We can add that to the list, is to just overall take a look at the marine commercial. I know when the wetlands buffer that's going through now only impacts major subdivisions.
Okay.
So if you wanted something else, we can look at that. But if you want to look at, you know, if you know there's an area we need to focus on, we can add it to the list and look at it.
Could be the empty property across from the Dairy Queen. That would be a major subdivision, wouldn't it?
It depends on how it comes in and what they do with it.
Yes, okay. Wait and see.
Well, we have also October 1st, we have our meeting, our workshop with the mitigation planning team. And that will give us a number of items to add to this list. And then in October, November, whenever they schedule it, we'll have Water Workshop 3 from the Sea Level Rise Committee. So we will be getting a lot of ideas from them too.
Good.
As far as an end timeline, I was thinking after the Water Workshop 3, I'm hoping that we can sort of meet and get everything together and present it to Planning Commission in December. I don't know if that sounds reasonable to everybody.
I would hope. I would.
It's something to shoot for, at least.
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay.
By December.
Yeah, to come up with a list,
Yeah.
I would think so.
Okay. Okay.
Twice.
So the other major resource that I have is Janelle's Resilient Community Recommendations.
Yeah, there's a lot of items in there of things to look at, projects, you know, implementation of BMPs, required incentives, a number of different things. So I think if we go through that, and I think we'll get a better idea after the October 1st meeting, and probably even the sea level rise, because to be perfectly honest, they're both really working together, and they just, once we get them together, they'll actually see how they're overlapping. We'll have an idea of path forward on those items as well. But if like there's one you guys want to like make sure is definitely on the list, we can do that.
Okay. All right.
And if like there's definitely a recommendation from the comp plan that you think is like really important that we want to focus on, you know, in the next coming year, next couple of months, you know, want to make sure we have that so we know it's a higher priority. Or, you know, if you guys know, if like you've been on the commission and you just like, okay, this drives me nuts every time because it's not clear, add it to the list so we can kind of, you know, make sure. Because I always say zoning code and ordinance is kind of like a living and breathing book. It needs to be updated every once in a while. Because if you just leave it closed,
Yes.
it doesn't grow and it becomes very stagnant and gets dust on it, which means it gets outdated very quickly. But if you keep changing it, then it's going to help continue to make sure that what you want the city to look like, then your city will end up looking like that because you're continually updating it and making it look more reflective of the vision you have that you found in your comp plan.
On the other hand, you
I
have
agree.
some natives that want to keep it as is, and, you know, it's the local charm. So,
And that's why we go through public meetings, public hearings, and then there's a decision that is made.
right.
Sometimes you win a battle to win the war, and sometimes you lose a battle to win the war. So
I was in a
No.
3-hour meeting with H-Park yesterday. That was a beast, so.
I was there too.
Oh, God. Painful. So, to be continued. Kay, I was wondering,
Well, so does this task seem doable and okay with everybody?
I know it's backwards, but I was wondering, should we be posting this list online to get public input as to items? Is that safe?
I don't, what I gave you was just scribbling.
Okay.
So I would say not yet. Once we get, well, what do you think about working on this for a couple of weeks and then having a meeting to see where we are?
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
Middle of October, maybe?
Middle of September, or we're already in September when that happened.
End of September?
I think the question is, do we
Well,
want
we
to,
have planning commission meets September 16th. Do we want to try to meet before then or after then?
well,
Oh,
next week or the week of the 23rd? Or the 30th? Or do we want to wait until, or do we want to just kind of like everybody get ideas together, get them to me, me or Kay, and we can put them together. And then once we have the resiliency meeting, then we'll add to the list and then we can start refining it, making sure like where there's overlap and then get it back out to the committee.
Yeah, and then once we get it into a pretty consistent form, then let's put it online. When it's so draftish, I don't think that's helpful. But when
Right, I
it's,
think right now we're just kind of brainstorming ideas of like
yeah,
what we think we want to look at. I mean, I've got a list of like 10 just based on what I've heard, you know, so.
so do you want to say the 23rd or the 30th?
I can do the 30th.
Yeah, that's good. September 30th.
Could it be in the, like, John, does 3:30 work for you?
You're muted, John. Say that one more time for us, please.
Anytime after 3 works.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so 3:30 on the 30th, but we should get everything to you ahead of time, Janelle?
Yes, please, because then I can kind of start putting them together, figuring out, you know, are they environmental items? Are they land use items? You know, I can start kind of putting them into different categories. And if we've got a bunch of overlap, then I can just start consolidating. And then I can get that list back out to you guys, and you guys, so we can have something to discuss in detail on the 30th.
Okay, I'll try and get you my list by the 21st. Does that
Wonderful.
work?
Yes.
Okay,
I'll do the same.
okay,
Perfect.
okay.
And again, this can be something as minor as fixing a couple of words in an ordinance, in a section of code, you know, that we know it's like, hey, that just doesn't work, to, you know, something big and needs a lot of work. But I think sometimes the little things can make a really big impact. Just so keep that in your
Yeah.
mind.
Okay.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Okay, so we'll get our comments to you by the 21st of September, and we will Zoom again on the 30th of September at 3:30. And
Yep.
then on the 1st of October is when we have our workshop with mitigation planning.
Okay.
Excellent.
Good.
Yep.
Awesome.
Any other questions or anything? I think we're good.
Have a good
Okay.
one.
I'm loving it. I love it.
Wear a helmet and
All
stay-
right. So this is great. And thank you everyone very much for this, because I know everyone's really busy. So thank you very much. And we'll Zoom on the 16th for our regular planning commission meeting.
You have 2 chat comments, I see. Anybody want to
Oh.
answer chats?
Oh, from the chat from Tom, we went over those.
Oh, those all from Tom? Okay.
Yep.
All right, we're good then.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right.
And the answer is
Thank you
yes.
very much.
Okay,
Okay. Bye, everybody.
bye.
Bye. Thank you.